Shameless Jackie, she, her are my pronouns. I'm doing a different type of video today to really talk about like what a spiritual awakening actually feels like, and to really talk to you all about signs and different types of things that could look like mental health symptoms that people go through when they are going through an awakening period, process, things like that. As well as just shamelessly share some things that, I've experienced as well. And I also pulled out the surrender deck as the cover photo because I just wanted to like pull a card right now because energetically, we have the eclipse next weekend or weekend next week, Tuesday, right? And this is really a time of like letting go and like surrendering, to the unknown and really trusting source, universe, whatever you believe in at this time here. So I pulled a card on this energy, just like what I wanted to share and everything. And the card that came out was surrender to your full power here. And so we have this lion energy showing up overall. But I just love that this card truly came out because spiritual awakenings can really feel like you are surrendering. You have to let go. You're giving things up. And it also feels like, gosh, sometimes you just want people to freaking hear you with this roar in the battle here, right? And sometimes it's also about picking and choosing what battles you're actually going to fight moving forward here. But I love this card. It says your life is calling you to step into your full power rather than playing it small. And so a lot of times energetically, when there's spirit, spiritual energy, mind, body, soul here, all the damn things, when people actually go through this, experience overall, people are being called to wake up and step into a bigger life purpose here. Now, some people that go through spiritual awakenings, their life purpose may be to help others, be a spiritual entrepreneur, move forward in some different types of things overall. So let's just kind of talk a little bit about, what are the signs that you are going through a spiritual awakening here? Hi, Chris. Hello, and thank you because I'm giving up some things for good. Keep shining. Oh, I love that. Thank you so much here for your support. But I want to talk about signs going through a spiritual awakening and some different types of traps that we get into, some things that I've experienced, as well as just it can be a very shameful experience if you go through this. And when you first waking up and your spirit starts waking up, waking up, waking up over time, there's no unawakening process, is how I like to describe it and say it and tell it. It's just like you keep reawakening, you keep ascending energetically. And I know that a lot of people will not understand what the heck I'm talking about today, and that's okay. Like, it's not meant for them. They don't need to know all these different types of things. And there's plenty of literature and research out there or other YouTubers out there that they can go learn from or, experience like their own views, and that's totally cool and totally fine too. So let's first talk about like how there's some spiritual awakening symptoms that can really look like mental health symptoms. This can be experiencing, like depression, not wanting to leave, not wanting to go anywhere, or really do anything. Anxiety, you might be really fearful of the future. How the heck is this going to change with, people in my life, friendships, relationships, whatever. There can also be like sadness, like nothing really matters anymore, because when you go through a spiritual awakening, you feel these different types of feelings and emotions. And when you are like waking up, you realize that you are here to help more people. And when your physical body, not your spiritual body or your spiritual energy, but when your physical body leaves this earth, it's really, this energy of like, how much did you actually help people? How much did you actually care for others? How much did you show up for others? So then your spirit, when it lives on, goes to wherever you choose to. For some, it's reincarnated. For some, it's a spiritual. And for some, it's, purgatory, like whatever you choose to believe in here, right? But this is something where like when you wake up, you really try to figure out how to help more people in different areas of their life. Certain things you may not even care about anymore. Like you energetically might be purging, cleansing your home, getting rid of stuff. And I know a lot of people think, oh my gosh, that person could potentially have thoughts of death or dying or whatever. And that's simply not the case. It's like their body and their spirit and their soul is just energetically cleansing and clearing certain things that are just not in alignment for them anymore. And it's like, wow, you actually open up up even more, like when you have less and open up your energy more to the spirit and different types of subconsciousness when it comes to having less of things just energetically around you. You might also feel misunderstood by people or as if like something's just wrong with your brain. And then you like gaslight yourself and then you're like, no one understands me. I don't get it. Or people might also gaslight you and say, magical thinking, like you're just magically thinking about these types of things here. So, an example for me personally with some of this stuff during COVID, a friend was really telling me, like, when I was first spiritually awakening, oh, Jackie, you don't want to leave your house, you don't want to do anything anymore. And I was like, okay, y'all, like, we're literally in a pandemic. Like, we can get COVID. What do you want me to do? My mother has cancer. Like, I'm not going to risk my health or her health to like leave our home. But people were like, you don't want to do certain things anymore. And I was like, I'm also just content with how much I have and what I have at this point in time. And some people didn't get that. And I had been seeing a therapist at this time as well, I predicted something and I truly called that behavior. Now, some people, if they are spiritually aware or if they believe in psychic abilities or intuition, we all have them. And again, my therapist at this time, I said, this is what's going to happen. I know that this will happen, da, 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 right? And I like wrote some things down with that and predicted it. At the time, she was like, oh, you're magical thinking. And so even like people in my field can spiritually gaslight you or gaslight you to not trust your intuition. And so for me, this is something that I just want to shamelessly share. Like, that's not okay, should not happen. And it's okay to advocate for yourself if you are seeing a mental health therapist and you feel like you're going through something spiritually, and whether or not they feel aligned to you, they may not be the best provider for you and everything like that. So I think this is a lot to really kind of think about when you are going through some of these processes and stuff. Like, there could be mental health symptoms that come up, but don't gaslight, your natural abilities and like what you are experiencing during this time. I love that you're cleansing and purging during this time, Chris, and giving shit away. Yeah, honestly, some of the things, if people really truly go through an awakening period, they don't care about stuff. They don't want the stuff. They don't need the things. They want to truly let go and just have more energy in their home, which sounds really odd or weird. But when you go through a spiritual awakening as well, you could also experience, increased empathy. You could really feel a lot of things more. You could be crying more. Your moods could just be really connecting to other people's energies and you don't know really how to sort out yours or other people's, or you just really start to care about people more. Now, with empathy though, I will just say we'll come back to that word empath later, because that has also been used to weaponize and to tell people like, I'm an empath, so then like I have an ego and I actually can feel all these things, when people don't actually know there's more than one type of empath. And with some people who do have, mental health, trauma, past things here, that's also something to energetically check in with yourself. You could be empathetic and there's certain symptoms that could be coming up where that is your trauma. So we'll get into that later. You could also just experience heightened sensitivity to sounds, noises, and really just be drained a little bit from some of those things. Your routine could really change a lot. Lots of people out there will write, if you're up 3 to 5 a.m., that's when, a lot of like witches would practice, or the witching hour at midnight, or, Buddha, or people would meditate at that time, or it's just your body and your soul really waking you up at that time to build new habits and new routines here. And for lots of people, they may be like, why is my body getting me up during this time? Well, energetically, like your spirit and your soul is waking you up, and your physical body, but your energy spiritually is like, wake up during this time, and let's change some different habits and routines around too. Exercise and lifestyle eating habits could completely change, and this can also be taking care of all things, like in all forms energetically, so like the physical body and the mental body, the emotional like energies, just the 7 energy systems overall. But this is something where some people will go to extremes with it, like, okay, now I've woken up and I need to become vegan, or I need to be vegetarian, or I need to not eat meat, right, and I need to not harm animals. And there does need to be, this is not me giving any health advice or anything like that, but there is certain things that people need to be mindful of with how their bodies work and what they can and cannot eat. And so a lot of people do take it to, certain types of layers of that, but then they use that as like weaponizing other people and their spiritual values. So it's very important to be mindful of, to be aware of. You may stop like killing animals or insects or whatever if you have them in your home. Like you may just let them out. You may also give them different types of offerings around your homes too, but to really understand like, energetically, like they were here first, and like who am I to encroach on their space, because animals also have a space in this worldview too, in this physical realm and beings. You could also experience any near death experiences. For some people, this can truly be a lot of different things. Like this could be near death or injury. For some, it can be physically related, it can be sickness and different types of issues. And so when I was waking up in 2021 and I didn't know I was going through a spiritual awakening, I was like, what the heck is happening here, right? I came back from Mexico for a vacation, with family and a partner's family, everything like that. And I came back and I was sick as a dog. It was not COVID. It was not anything that they could have just diagnosed me with. And I was just like in and out of my bed for a solid 1 week to 2 weeks here. And I had my business at this time fully going in this next year on my own. 100%. I had all my clients scheduled, and I literally felt like I was dying. I literally was like, oh my gosh, like it sucks that I have to cancel all these clients. It sucks that like I can't show up for them during this time. And it sucks that I'm literally just alone in this, like having to just get myself out of bed to just try to go to the bathroom or try to drink water or try to sip water or do any of these things here to try to take care of myself. I couldn't even get groceries. My dad had to come and drop them off, everything like that. And, I was in bed for like 2 weeks. And that last week, like, I didn't tell anybody how scary this was. And I called out, to the universe, and I said, okay, please don't let me die. And I will do more things spiritually in my business. I will learn tarot cards. I will do energy reads. I will do more oracle reads and stuff, because I know I'm kind of showing this on my Instagram, but I'll create certain types of content around this. I'll give back more. I promise, I promise, I promise. And the next day, I was completely healthy. Now, that was just wild. It just happened out of nowhere. I had my energy back. And so, truly, like, this is something where people might go through different types of like, you feel like you're dying, near death experiences in many different types of way. Your intuition and your psychic abilities can really be on the rise. You can have like a lot of vivid dreams, as well as like predict the future or have like precognitive dreams, like premonitions and precognitions. During this time, I had a lot of friends calling out to me in a dream, they're and astral traveling to me and really saying things like, should I break up with this person? And they're crying and they look like, the Three of Swords energy. If in the tarot, it is not a pleasant card. It's very dark and depressing. And I remember that dream so vividly. And then within the next week, that friend of mine reached out to me, and then I just felt like when I saw them, I just knew something was wrong. I was like, what's going on? And then they started crying. And so then clairsentience becomes like more stronger with the feelings and being on point, right? And so there's a lot of things that where you might just be naturally, psychic or playing around with this, or your abilities are coming up more and more and more. You could also experience like clairvoyant orbs or images, or your ancestors, your angels, and your guides could be giving you these different messages in your dreams, coming to you in your dreams, wanting to like show you something, connect you something, or just show you that they are there with you. And people will really try to reach out for help as well. So a lot of people, when they go through a spiritual awakening, they don't even realize like you are helping people in the astral realm, and then boom, before you know it, you're like, dang, I'm so sleepy this next day, or I felt like I was actively dreaming, or why did I have 4 to 5 to 6 lucid dreams here, right? And it's because your body and your spirit was like literally like traveling at night. You can also begin to predict and call things claircognizantly. You may think, oh my gosh, I'm going to see this person today. They're going to wear a bay t-shirt. That happened to me. I thought about that in this last month, and I didn't tell anybody. I wrote it down. I told my partner. And, some people too will be like, wow, that's really interesting. And you could also get clairaudient, like messages ringing in the ears, music, words, downloads, a lot of things there too. And sometimes people, depending on who you tell or what they believe in, what you're experiencing, what you're going through, and all these things happening at once, they may try to gaslight you. They may try to call you crazy. They may try to shame you. And it's really important for you to be able to just seek, a mentor or a class or a course or something that feels naturally, energetically aligned with these different types of stuff. With ego death, this is something pretty big. Like, this is when you have certain labels for your ego and your identity that become outdated, and you're like, this doesn't even matter. Like, who cares about this anymore, right? And so sometimes people will talk about, like Dr. Joe Vitale, I quote him a lot on my channel here, but he talks about like 4 different stages of like a spiritual awakening. And the first one that he calls and talks about is like victimhood, like woe is me type of energy, and then you slowly move through these 4 levels of a spiritual awakening. I don't remember the last 4 that he talks about off the top of my head, but like it's an area of saying like, no, I am not a victim to my circumstances or the situation anymore, and I need to move forward and become the hero in my story. And really that hero type of energy is like co-creating with spirit, source, the divine, whatever. And it's also like with victimhood, you have to let go of things that aren't for you, like mentally, emotionally, physically, psychologically, financially, just so much, sexually too. And you, with ego deaths, you can really realize that point of like nothing matters in this world other than how you treated people and other than how you helped people. Your physical body, when you die, you can't take the stuff with you, right? And so titles then don't seem important anymore. How you identify or label yourself don't seem important anymore. You crave more genuine and authentic connections and community and conversations, but like gossiping and talking crap about people or talking about negative things that are going on in the world just like does not appease to those that have gone through an awakening here. You lose a lot of friends and you lose a lot of people in your life. You go through a lot of ambiguous loss. That's grief and loss of like you lose people who are living and they are dying, in your life, but they're still present and they might still be there. Or you do lose death. Of people. You do lose animals. You do lose different types of things. And because of this, like the people that you once had in your life, as you go through this awakening, they spirit and universe, whatever, might try to actually like cut you or try to detach you from those energies for a reason here. So then you feel like you are losing lots and lots of people and they're not showing up for you anymore. And you really crave like finding more information about what this is, the knowledge of this all, and what your spiritual lineage really is with things. Meaning like, the different types of, am I from Lumeria? Am I from Atlantis? And am I from these different timelines and things? You really want to be able to try to like make sense of things, which is like a big part of going through a spiritual awakening overall. And if you're a very caring and compassionate person who's ever been overgiving of your energy, like spirit wants to take things away from you that don't serve you or aren't right for you. And you can really feel alone in this world. But then later you discover, like, wow, I'm never really alone. Like, in this world, and sometimes you're meant to be put in solitude to go within to figure out something for yourself for a reason, or to be cut off with these other negative situations or people. And that's why a lot of spiritualists will say like it's not rejection, it's protection and it's redirection, and like that's for your benefit. But some people, when you go through a spiritual awakening, because of being aware of all these things, you could really crave more solitude after reawakening and going into like a hermit mode, like the tarot card energy of going within and like slowing down and like, being with your books or your animals or the light and the dark, or meditating with a candle or whatever. So, what causes the ear tinging, or what does that mean? What's the message there? Ear ringing. So there could be something, I'm not a doctor here, right? But there's like something medical. I think it starts with a T, like tick. I don't know. Tacarisis? I don't know if that's the right word. So it's always good to like check that out with doctors, right? You do you at the end of the day. But for me personally, I've had an experience where left ears is like my downloads, right ears is like when people are talking shit about me. So when I was going through my awakening during COVID, I had my period, and I was invited to a friend's barbecue, whatever. I was gonna go, but then I was like, the worst day. If you know, you know, like period symptoms, not my jam. Probably nobody else's, right? I was like, I just want to be home in sweatpants in the AC. I don't want to go to this hot ass grill out bonfire. It was like an 80, 90-degree day that day, right? And so there were other people there, and my partner went and everything like that. And, you know, my partner came home later that day or the next day. I got ringing in my right ear, and I was like, huh, was this person, our friend at the time, talking shit about me? And my partner's like, no, 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 no. And I was like, okay. So then, anyway, saw that person the next week, Friday, and I was like, literally they confront me, or they say, I was talking shit about you last week. And I was like, I know you were. Why were you going around and like talking crap about me and saying certain things, you know, that were not true, or questioning me? And they were like, how did you know I was questioning you or talking shit? I was like, there are ways for people to know that stuff. And so for me, that's my right. And for you, that could be your left. Again, it's all, you know, what energetically is going on with you spiritually. So again, there are ways for spirit to like show you and expose these people to you. And this person, you know, is not a part of my life anymore. So I lost them. This person was one of my best friends. I lost two other best friends during this time as well. But one of the other things was a spiritual awakening. You feel like you have to do everything. You feel like, oh my gosh, I need to go see this psychic. Now I need to go get this tarot read card done, or this oracle card read done. Or now I just am gonna like overconsume and rely on spirit and all these YouTube readers and channelers and psychics or tarot readers or whatever, rather than co-creating your destiny. You feel like you need to do constant like birth chart readings, and then when you're not doing a birth chart reading, you do Reiki, and when you're not doing Reiki, you need to go sound bowl healing. When you're not doing sound bowl healing, you need to go to yoga, and then you need to go to Tai Chi, Qigong, do EFT tapping, shadow work, human design, numerology report, looking up the meanings of constant angel numbers, spiritual animals, seeking instant gratification with all the signs, hypnotherapy, going to a medium, going to see a witch, doing work, casting spells, working on the moon phases, doing all the rituals, reading all the books, literally doing the Akashic records, the aura photos, and feeling like you need, for those that are spiritual people and work in the, you know, spiritual helping realm, coaching, entrepreneur, you feel like, oh my God, I need this certification and that certification, this certification. It's like, you don't need certification and shit. Like you can Google those different types of information. You can learn that shit from a book here, okay? So I laugh because people think, oh my God, well now this is gonna give me some sort of title, and it's an ego boost. And then when people realize it, they're like, oh, I don't need to be like this certified, you know, a fill in the blank practitioner here, because people don't care. They just care how you help, not like why you have this label spiritually. And so then you realize, you go through an ego death, that doesn't matter. And then people overdo it, and then they feel like, wow, I'm so spiritually addicted. And then their crown chakras are like activated and overactivated, and then they want reassurance that they're still on this path and waking up and whatever. And then they don't see, you know, those feathers, or they don't see those angel numbers, or they don't hear that song anymore, right? And for some people, they might try to also do different things with like getting a past life regression done, and doing this stuff. And so I just want to share, like with my past life regression that I did previously, I went to a hypnotherapist here. I told them the things that was going on because I thought they could truly help me with this. And I know I said I've been having these vivid dreams. They've been coming true. I've been astral traveling. I've been getting into all these things spiritually. And I'm just like, what does this mean? Because I don't understand. Like, I think this is a spiritual awakening. And this person gaslit me. And they're like, no, that's a Kundalini awakening. And so for those of you that don't know, a Kundalini awakening is really when you have like a harsh, like you have like something harsh with like your root chakra all the way down to your energetic bodies. And if I'm misexplaining this, my bad, y'all, I'm not perfect. But you feel like a crack in your body. So it's truly not the same as a spiritual awakening. So if you feel like you are waking up, everyone's awakening looks differently, but it's really good to just know, like, trust yourself that it's a spiritual awakening, and nobody else can tell you that, no, this is actually that. but this person didn't even tell me why it was that. And they didn't tell me about Kundalini energy or anything. Could there have been activations? Yes. But did I have an awakening where I was actually hurt in my physical, like body and back from like the root chakra down? No. So there's just some things to kind of think about with it. You could also be receiving lots of signs, angel numbers, feathers, coins, spiritual animal totems could be coming to you constantly. You could want to learn about all these things more: occult wisdom, energy, tarot, oracle cards, crystals, numerology, different types of empaths, different types of labels, different types of things spiritually. And you could consume lots and lots and lots of books, vlogs, videos, different types of podcasts, different kinds of things. And sometimes this could be to the point where you feel like you just need to know everything, but then you get down to it and you're like, I know nothing at the same time. You could also be looking at like different types of spiritual texts, be it from past religions, world religions. You might be looking into that more, or just different types of spiritualist books or guides or laws or spiritual laws and principles and different types of things, or even like the law of attraction work, and really think about this. And for lots of people, then when they get all this information, they really reassess their own worldview and values. I do want to talk about like what some spiritual traps are that people fall into, because it's kind of scary. Like, even with people that I've met in my life who claim to be very spiritual and they are in the helping field and industry, they have shamed me. They haven't managed conflict with me. And I know that they're acting from a younger child, like energy and space. And, sometimes when you're just very honest with people, when you go through an spiritual awakening, you're just going to lose more people because they're triggered, because they're not ready to actually do some of this work here. And so I would just say, if you know somebody who is very spiritual and they know people within the community who do different types of services and things, I would be careful about asking who are the best referrals. And if that person is saying crap about another person in the community, right? Like, then make sure you be mindful of like what they're saying. But people can also be way too nice, and it's manipulative, and thinking that every single person is so wonderful and so beautiful and awesome. And it's like, no, 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 that's manipulative here. So you really have to learn how to suss people out as well. But a spiritual trap can really be when you wake up, people thinking that they're better than everyone else. And it's this battle between like good and evil, like, oh, like I'm so much better than you because I'm awake and I actually know certain types of things. Versus like that can also be seen as very evil as well. Some people believe that they have to share this knowledge with everyone, and not everyone is meant to hear these messages or hear these things. I've fallen into that trap before. I'm not gonna lie with y'all on my channel, and I've gotten shamed. And it's truly because some of those people were not ready or will never wake up in this lifetime, and that's okay. They're not meant to. Others, maybe so. There's also that overconsumption of spiritual knowledge and not actually being part of the physical world, not actually playing with your kids, not actually seeing your partner, not actually going on dates with your spouse, your husband, your wife, your poly relationship, not actually like trying to live life, but just overconsume things where it becomes very addictive. Some people, I kind of talked about this, but when you identify as, I'm a very spiritual person, there's ego in that to make you seem like you're on a pedestal and someone's down here. And when people say things like, well, I'm an empath, or I'm a light worker, or I'm an earth angel, right? Like, it makes you sound like you're up here and other people energetically are down here, when vibrationally you're also down here, and maybe even lower at that point, because you don't even realize how you are coming off to others. So when people say I'm an empath, but then they're doing shitty things to other people, like having a hit and run with their car, cheating on their spouse, lying to a friend, manipulating people, shaming another person, talking down to people, or just not living morally well or a lifestyle to their values, and then they want to excuse their behavior. That's such a huge trap people fall into. The biggest thing that more people are talking about nowadays is like toxic positivity, like, oh, just only focusing on like love and light. And that can also be spiritually bypassing, but it's also this like, let's just focus on the positive and the good things. And I love you. And I just want to not go to these negative things here, right? But then masking that energy of like any emotions that they've never actually worked on. And maybe the victimhood energy can come up of like spirit, like, why did this happen to me? I'm a good person here, right? Which can feel like this gives you or them some sort of status rather than like working on your fear, your anxiety, your shame, your guilt, and your grief, like since childhood. As someone who is a therapist, I've seen that so much as someone who also is a spiritual entrepreneur and loves to connect with other spiritual entrepreneurs and, helpers out there. I've seen so many not actually do their emotional and psychological work in therapy and think that they can then help other people through realms of coaching or spirituality. And we call that spiritual bypassing. So we really have to be careful for, those therapists out there that are very spiritual, right? If we run into any of these types of communities, to be mindful who we refer clients to, or, who we are energetically connecting with in that sense, because it's important to be honest with ourselves and honest with those people, right? Like, how can you say you're this spiritually endowed person, but you haven't even like worked on past childhood trauma? And that doesn't even have to be big trauma, that could be little t trauma, right? Another way that people can really fall into spiritual traps is just acting nice as a way to people please everyone. And then basically, that's not the case when you're going through a spiritual awakening. You're being so honest with everyone that you don't even know that you could just be pushing them away because of that honesty, but maybe it's something you have been people pleasing and holding back for years. And now you woke up and now you leveled up and now you're like, okay, I'm cool with that. I don't need this person or these people. But when you're people pleasing, it's a very manipulative energy. When you're being very nice to everybody, when you're putting a smile on your face and faking it till you make it, right? When things are not okay, clearly, you don't have to do that when you're people pleasing and not actually showing your emotions or saying how you feel or saying how you're hurt or upset by somebody, right? You are literally falling into a spiritual trap there. And people catch on to it. And whether or not someone is honest with you about it will depend on the person. However, if someone's honest with you about certain things, that is a gift that they gave to you. That is energy they gave to you. Whether or not you like it or you agree with it, it will get the wheels turning and you will reflect on it and think about some of these things here. Let's discuss spiritual bypassing, because people will use the term, well, I'm a spiritual person, as like a way to make themselves look better or good on the outside to other people, but on the inside they are fucking hurting and trapped here. So when we spiritually bypass, we tend to avoid the emotional and psychological work that we need to do, and we may use spirituality, as a crutch in order to work on ourselves and not heal past wounds that need to be dealt with here, okay? But this really only pushes, those past wounds away, repression, suppression, and pushing those things down and being defensive and having defense mechanisms, right, that are shoving down our emotions here rather than actually doing the psychological work. And people just saying, I'll pray, or I'm spiritual, I'll just use this here. That can't just be the only thing for any type of thing in your psyche to actually heal mentally of the past and emotionally of the past, of things that you could have went through. People resist this work because of the uncomfortableness and sitting in their feelings and emotions, and or the psychological pain or childhood trauma that they went through. And feelings don't last forever. And as long as we are aware of that and we're allowing ourselves to feel all of them and be honest with all of them, some days it may take 2 to 3 minutes. Some days it may be like a really big thing happened to me and I'm wiped energetically quickly because my emotional energy is just so drained right now because of what happened. And that's okay. It may take 2 to 3 days. And for big life things, it could take longer, right? And so it really depends on the person with how quickly you can have your feelings, identify with them, do and be with them. And you can also, move on from them when you are ready. You don't have to say these are mine, and you don't have to say, oh my gosh, well, these are my feelings, and like having it then even be harder where you can't even disconnect. You can say, I feel this, not I am this feeling. And that's the difference between the two things. And sometimes spiritually bypassing is actually being angry and blaming other people when they say something that triggers you, and you never ever resolve the conflict with that person. And a lot of people would rather be sick than sane. A lot of people would rather wear rose colored glasses, be Delulu, not take accountability or responsibility for their actions, their behaviors, how they communicated, their defense mechanisms, their ego, all these different things in life, their shadow, right? And they would rather just blame that on someone else because that's easier than rather sitting in it and doing their work to become sane, healthier. So a lot of people are more so sick, but a lot of people believe that they are sane, and whether or not you actually are doing the work to be healthy versus unhealthy, and it's on a continuum or to slowly get there, some people will stay here in this unhealthy, low vibrational energy a lot in their life. And I've seen it so often. A lot of times, if you have seen, y'all maybe have seen, I think it was Dr. David Hawkins and maybe Dr. Joe Dispenza. I don't remember. I was reading their books at the same time in the past couple months. But the emotional levels, like, of energies here. Low vibrational ones are like shame and anger and guilt. And that right there, when you're operating at that lower vibrational energy, and you've never really done any work on that psychologically and emotionally to heal these things, it's going to be hard to actually spiritually ascend and awake in this lifetime. So some people will just say, I'm good. I'm using spirituality to help me with all of this. When really, it doesn't help all of this. It masks all of this sometimes for people. And then we just push it down defensively and repress and suppress it. Some other things is only meditating to avoid emotional work. Meditation is great, absolutely. And if that is the only outlet that you are doing, but not actually slowing down with your feelings and being in the moment, then it's not going to be as helpful as a tool for you. Some people may also spiritually bypass by numbing out, detaching, avoiding problems in life. A lot of times people don't realize those who have anxiety will flee situations and avoid rather than confront, rather than fight, which is what, you know, is the most healthiest response. And I don't mean fight like fist fight. I mean like stand up for themselves, advocate for themselves, assert themselves, be honest with themselves, and be honest with others. And that doesn't have to be aggressively, right? But a lot of people will energetically run away and spiritually bypass from certain things that scare them because they may also experience some mental health things too with anxiety potentially. This could also be using a lot of different drugs, alcohol, sex, numbing out, dopamine hits, shopaholic, whatever. This can also be ignoring your body's signs and cues when you are not in like energetically a good relationship, be it with a partner, partners, or spouse, or even friendships in your life. And so it's really important to pay attention to your body cues and signals and signs when you are not meant to be around a person, especially if there was ever a traumatic, unhealthy situation like an attachment wound. Like, and what do I mean by that? An attachment wound could be, a parent or a caregiver consistently beating on you as a child and being abusive, right? An attachment wound, as later on in life, could be you get married and then your spouse like cheats on you, and then you never do that work ever. And so you stay in that traumatic, unhealthy situation. You push that, marital affair or that relationship affair aside, and then you stick through it rather than actually being and doing with that work. And then you wonder why is my hair falling out? Why am I so stressed out? Why do I have these physical health issues? Why is my body like rejecting this person? Why don't I want to touch them? Why don't I want to hug them? Why don't I want to have sex with them? And there's a lot there. This could also be certain things, even with financial affairs, too. And so, attachment wounds can be traumatic for people. There can be big T trauma and there can be little t trauma with this here, okay? And so, if you and your body is literally saying, no, we need to get out of the situation, I don't even have safety here, and I'm consistently in survival mode with these people in my life, then it's clearly a sign and a cue that you have a lot of complex trauma and shame work that you might have to do and be with psychologically and emotionally, and your body is going to be showing that in lots of ways. Why Woo Woo Works by Dr. David Hamilton, he talks about different types of personality types and how anger personality, I think he said personality A was anger, I could be misquoting this. Thanks, Sarah. Thank you so much for saying that. Thank you. I forgot the word of it, but for the ringing in the ear, oh my God, titanitis. Whatever, titanitis. I'm just kidding. But with Dr. David D. Hamilton, I love, really talks about, and why Woo Woo Works, legit. Discusses all the different things about, personality types, and he talks about personality A is anger, and oh, Zara, you have it, unfortunately. Oh, well, I hope it doesn't bug you too much over there, okay? But he talks about anger is, associated with strokes, and different emotions in the body can be associated that are unhealed with cancer, and then digestive symptoms, and all these different kinds of things. And so when people don't realize energetically working on your emotions, that's going to be a huge thing that influences your spiritual self and your soul in this lifetime. You are not your body. You are not your physical body. You are not, this vessel that you have in this lifetime. And these are just some things to think about when people spiritually bypass here. I'm glad, Zara, that it's not too bad anymore. Thank you for being here and supporting me. A couple other things when it comes to spiritually bypassing is some people may also yeah, thanks, Sarah. A lot of people don't do lives about spiritual awakening. Yeah, I'm kind of talking about my experiences in my first one. I had another one just recently in Bali that, I'm still reflecting on, processing all the things that I will share more about later. So you'll definitely have to stick around on this channel to watch it more. But with spiritually bypassing, some people will, when they need that energetic, they need that energetic, emotional help and that psychological potentially help, with therapy. People will then shame the therapy field when spiritually some people might need that the most in order to heal their feelings and emotions, in order to then wake up overall. There's also toxic positivity with not letting people have their feelings. It's just let them have their fucking feelings. Let them be mad for 5 minutes. Let them be disappointed. Gosh, let them fucking cry. Let people just have their feelings. And so when people are like, oh, it's gonna be okay, don't worry about it, you got this, and they completely skim or diminish or deflect, or they dismiss this person's feelings or emotions, just let me have this, okay? And some other the last spiritual bypassing thing I wanted to talk about was being overly tolerant and compassionate for others, for saying everyone is so great, they're so nice, this person's amazing, they're my bestie. And then people see that person and they're like, what? Because sometimes you're like, damn, I thought you were in a spiritual community, but people use that title and that label or that word to manipulate others. And then it's this is who you're hanging out with? What's going on here? This is just not energetically, a good fit in friendships or relationships. What are we doing? And so it's really not people. I talked to another therapist friend of mine with this, and they're also very spiritual and stuff, and they were talking about like people will just use this label of I'm spiritual, and then they like live their lives, and from a different value system that doesn't actually match what they're saying. And so there's like values discrepancies, which it's okay again, right? Like we live and we learn and we have life lessons here, but you're consistently doing the work as well. And like that's something to always hone in on with yourself. When you go through an awakening, you are always, doing these different types of growth. And there's all these different timelines when you feel like it's going to be so straight and like, here's the route. It's like here, there, everywhere. Zara, Pisces squad, I love it. Are you a Pisces sun? I'm a Pisces moon. Maybe you can tell. Mine awakening was the most scariest 3 months of my life. Yeah, yeah. It can be very scary for lots of people. Absolutely. Love it. Pisces sun. Wonder if you have the same birthday as my brother. He's a Pisces sun, but he does not identify with Pisces sun. Pisces sun, Aquarius moon. Ooh, that's a very unique combo right there. 3689. Love it. Oh, okay. My brother was 313, so I'm a week off from you, but yeah. And your awakening was the scariest 3 months of your life. AC squad, everyone does connect differently. Abso-freaking-lutely. And sometimes that's the hard part. Like when some people spiritually are trying to find their home, it's like it's like that lame quote, like you kiss a bunch of frogs, in order to like find, that community that feels really good for connection, and they just vibe and they just get you and they're just present with you and all the things. Life Path 9, born on the dark balsamic moon. Ooh, I love it. Twin flame fire and threw it in my Oh my goodness. Yeah, Kundalini awakening. I briefly talked about that here, about how that's really different than a spiritual awakening, and how a lot of people, it's hard because naturally, energetically, people think, and some people go through both, right? You might go through Kundalini awakening, you might go through spiritual awakening, you may go through just a lot of different pieces with that all at once and not even realize it. And really, like, that energy can just definitely get so hardcore activated in the base of the spine and just go up to the point where people like suffer and have like back problems. Like, it's really intense, but like also very beautiful because it's opening up that, Kundalini awakening to just open and move up and with the flow within the body and everything like that. I'm more connected with the dead of my boyfriend and friends than I am with the living. I can't talk about it with people because they don't understand, so I keep it secret. Yeah, definitely makes sense. Absolutely. And lots of people won't understand, and they won't wake up in this lifetime, unfortunately. And you're never alone, and you don't need me to tell you that. You know it. But I just want to pull a couple more cards for y'all, just for the general collective energy out of the surrender deck. If anyone here ever goes through a spiritual awakening, please always feel free to reach out to me. Please feel free to always do a reading with me, or, book a one-off coaching and consultation session with me. I'm more than happy to help. I work with lots of different clients on lots of different things, be it with sex, relationships, spirituality, different types of tools, everything like that. And it can feel scary, and there's also nothing to be afraid of, is what I just want to share with everyone. I was scared though too during mine, because I just had so many things happen at once, and I was in my Saturn return, and I was in the dark night of the soul. People couldn't handle it. It would probably terrify most people. No, no, yeah, you're right. You're right about that, Sarah. But let's just get some final messages. Thank you all for listening. If you've stuck around with me, hung out with me, for anybody that's watching this replay, like this video, subscribe to my channel if you're new here, and make sure to hit the like button, help my channel grow here, okay? And let me know what other questions you may have about this here. But overall messages, ooh, for the collective: surrender to joy right now. A key to positive change into your life is to let joy in and savor it. Indulge in random acts of smiling during both the hard and easy times. Surrender to more joy. I love it. Surrender obsessive thinking here overall. If you're obsessing about a person or a situation, turn the dilemma over to spirit. So will help bring you more clarity to solve the problem for whomever needs to hear that. So really being able to surrender, give it up to the divine, all these different things here. You like these ones? I love these so much. I was thinking about doing a membership of my channel here, trying to figure out some things more so with community, and also thinking about different types of decks overall to like share with people, because I know when I first got into tarot card readings, everything like that, and oracle cards, like I didn't tell anybody, but I wish like somebody out there, you know, just really talked about different decks and talked about the ones that they liked and the different purposes, and like shared which types like in their info box, like even if it was a short. And so I think I might be that person who does it here. But yeah, the surrender deck is really good. I chose this one for this message today to just share with y'all, just because of the eclipse going on, and we're all going to be surrendering to a lot of different things next week and everything like that. Yeah, better to keep it to yourself. They're not connected. Absolutely. Surrender to silence. In quiet meditation or contemplation, let go and enter the stillness within you. Silence can heal and replenish you. So for anybody who wanted to hear that, I feel like doing like 6 today. So I don't know why, but Spirit's like 6. Maybe just trusting your intuition. Whoever needs to hear that. We have surrender, denial in the reverse here. So maybe some of you are coming out of denial with different types of things, but accept people and situations exactly as they are without denying the difficulties. And then you can see things clearly and make the best decision here overall. Okay. What else? 999. I love it. Yes. Woo. Okay, 2 more came out. Okay, surrender your fear of intimacy. For whoever needs to hear that, let go. You are ready to let love in, compassionately identify and begin to release any patterns that stop you from opening your heart. Beautiful. And surrender to non-action here. So now's the time to be still and not to act. Breathe and focus on your own power. Let people come to you. So you don't chase, you attract, very much so divine feminine energy here, not needing to overwork things, and surrender to spirit here. I love that because I said that at the beginning, like surrendering to the divine, to spirit, to source, whatever you believe in. But once you've done everything you can to achieve a goal, turn the situation over to the divine and let spirit work its magic for you. Okay, so for whomever needed to hear that, spirit's working on some magic in your life here. Surrender resentments, let go of the past. Holding on to resentments only poison you, and try to forgive others with their shortcomings and keep moving forward towards positive situations in your life. And then middle, we have surrender defensiveness here. So defensiveness is a sign of weakness. To communicate in a more empowered way, stay centered and hear someone out, then offer a clear, non-defensive response here. Okay, so everybody, thank you all so much for being here. This video, if you weren't here at the beginning, we talked about signs that you could be going through a spiritual awakening, what it actually feels like, some differences with that and Kundalini energies, as well as really focusing in on spiritual traps that people fall into and spiritual bypassing and some different types of things too. And we pulled some cards with the surrender deck. You're welcome, Zara. Thank you so much for being here. For those of you have any questions, drop them down below. Yes, that's in the beginning of this, Zara, this video here. Yes, I do. And they have come true. And that really started with, you know, not Kundalini awakening, nice spiritual awakening. Yeah, Zara, feel free to always reach out to me if you need any help with that. But there's a lot of things that you can be able to do to, you know, work with that if you would like to, not like to, whatever. But I just want to let anyone out there know, if you're going through a spiritual awakening, it will be okay. You have nothing to be afraid of. There are certain things that you'll be able to energetically receive. There are beautiful gifts coming your way, and you will be divinely guided, you know, on the best path and on the best route for you. And this is what you are meant to be experiencing and going through during this time. I love that that gift runs in your family, Zara. So everyone, thank you so much for being here again. Like this video, support me, help my channel grow, especially if you learned anything new, boo. Hit subscribe because I've got more content in store for you. And thank you so much for being here. Stay tuned for more. Stay shameless.